The night was heavy, a cloak of shadows pressing down on the city streets. Somewhere in the distance, a lone street lamp flickered, its light trembling like a candle fighting against the wind. You could almost hear the sigh of the world, a quiet lament that whispered truths too sharp to bear in daylight. And in that darkness, you, unwittingly, became the axis upon which secrets began to turn. God says this isn't a game. Every heartbeat, every glance, every small choice carries weight in ways the human mind struggles to comprehend. And tonight, after hours of relentless spiritual warfare, fought in realms invisible yet painfully real, a truth has been unearthed, a truth that involves you directly. It is no accident. Somewhere, a private investigator has been tracing threads that stretch far beyond ordinary comprehension. Each file opened, each shadowed corner explored, has led to a revelation too dangerous to ignore. And the information now exposed is delicate, fragile, fleeting. If you do not act, if you do not confront what lies before you, it may vanish, like smoke in a sudden wind. The words reach you through layers of unseen reality, almost as if carried by a force older than time itself. Each syllable vibrates with urgency, demanding attention, open before it vanishes. This is not a mere message. This is an invocation, a calling to awaken parts of your consciousness that have lain dormant. There is no room for delay. Fear might rise in your chest, a natural reaction when confronted with the unknown. Yet fear is not your enemy here, it is a signpost, pointing toward the edge of revelation. The spiritual realm is alive, charged with currents that interact with human thought, intention, and belief. And right now, the currents are converging around you, irresistible, undeniable. You sense it, don't you? The subtle tremor beneath reality, the faint hum that brushes against your awareness when the world seems silent. That is the vibration of truth, the whisper of destiny nudging you forward. Ignore it, and it may fade. Acknowledge it, and the path opens, revealing insights that cannot be unlearned, knowledge that reshapes perception itself. The investigator's work is complete. The exposures are written, documented, and waiting, but only for those who dare. They speak of hidden alliances, concealed motives, and realities that stretch the imagination yet insist on acknowledgement. Each revelation, each fact uncovered, ties inexorably to you, like threads in a tapestry whose design is both beautiful and terrifying. You feel it now, a pull in your chest, a call to awaken fully. The choice is stark: look away and remain in ignorance, or confront the unveiled truths with courage. Every moment of hesitation risks letting the opportunity slip. The window is narrow, the consequences real. The air around you thickens as if charged with unseen energy. You may feel a heat rise along your spine or a sudden chill brush against your skin. These are not illusions. They are signs, markers of the battlefield that exists beyond human eyes, a spiritual war fought in parallel with the life you live openly. And within that war, your name is written, not as a passive participant, but as a pivotal player. Do not underestimate the stakes. Time is not measured in hours here but in moments of awareness. Each second counts. Every fleeting thought of doubt, hesitation, or disbelief carries weight. The choice to engage, to open what has been revealed, is an act of alignment, a step into clarity that can shift the trajectory of your existence. And so the message comes again, insistent, echoing through the hidden corridors of perception, open before it vanishes. The words are not just text, they are a summons, a decree, a spiritual key offered to you alone. They vibrate with urgency, a resonance that seeks to awaken your inner sight, your capacity to perceive what others cannot. This is your moment. Not tomorrow, not later, not when you feel ready. The moment is now. Step into the revelation. Confront the truths, however daunting. For within them lies empowerment, understanding, and the capacity to navigate both the earthly and spiritual dimensions with newfound clarity. The city slept, or perhaps it merely pretended to. Beneath the hum of streetlights, beneath the faint whisper of distant traffic, currents moved that no human eye could see. They twisted, they pulsed, they carried the weight of intentions and secrets long buried. And in the midst of it all, you were not simply an observer, you were a conduit. Hours ago, the private investigator had reached a critical threshold. Papers scattered across a dimly lit office, files meticulously organized, each containing fragments of a larger puzzle that now pointed directly to you. The room smelled faintly of old leather and ink, a scent that seemed insignificant until you realized it lingered in memory, in the subconscious, like a calling card from fate itself. Every detail mattered. Every overlooked paper, every scribbled note, every seemingly trivial observation was a thread that connected you to something far greater than the mundane. The spiritual warfare had begun long before the investigator stepped into the scene. Invisible forces clashed around you even now, entities, some benevolent, others determined to obscure the truth, swirling in a battle that could not be seen yet could be felt. Your senses prickled with awareness, even if your mind could not yet grasp the full picture. There was urgency in the air, a tangible pressure that pushed against thought, against hesitation, demanding engagement. The files, the investigator's revelations, were alive in their own right. Not alive as humans understand life, but alive as carriers of energy, as vessels of truth. Each page held more than information, it carried intent, purpose, a spiritual resonance that could touch the soul if one was willing to see. And the information involved you. Each fact, each exposure, threaded through your existence, exposing connections you may have ignored or hidden even from yourself. You feel the pull now, don't you? That insistent tug at the edges of awareness, the quiet yet commanding voice inside that says, "This is not mere coincidence." It whispers of alliances hidden behind smiles, of truths buried beneath layers of deception, of decisions that ripple across reality far more than you ever imagined. The investigators' findings were precise, surgical. Names, dates, locations, patterns, each a revelation, each a key to understanding a hidden dimension of the life you thought you knew. And yet, the most pressing detail was not in the facts themselves but in their effect. The moment you would confront them, the moment you would accept their resonance, everything changes. There is no returning to ignorance once you see. You might wonder why this matters to you, why your attention is demanded with such ferocity. The answer is both simple and profound. The spiritual currents flowing through the world do not act indiscriminately. They converge around those whose choices can tip the scales, whose acknowledgement can open doors to clarity or close them forever. This is why the investigator's exposure involves you. It is no random act, it is destiny knocking at the threshold, demanding entry. In the stillness, the battle rages on. You cannot hear it in the traditional sense, yet you can feel the vibration beneath your skin, the subtle pressure in your chest, the quickening of your pulse. These are signs, markers of the unseen war, proof that your awareness matters. The entities that clash in silence are aware of you too. Their strategies shift, their currents bend around your potential decisions. You are not incidental, you are pivotal. The night stretches endlessly, yet it is finite. Opportunities, like shadows, appear and vanish with imperceptible speed. The files, the revelations, the call to open before it vanishes, this is your moment. Hesitate, and the chance slips away. Engage fully, and the doors open, revealing not just information, but understanding, empowerment, and alignment with forces far beyond the human eye. You reach for the files now, physically or metaphorically, and the weight of them is immediate. Not the weight of paper or ink, but the weight of truth. Every word resonates, every phrase vibrates with urgency. The investigator's careful work becomes your map, guiding you through the labyrinth of reality that stretches beyond the visible. Every revelation carries consequences, every exposure demands a response. Do not shy from it. The fear you feel, the doubt that rises, these are natural, expected. They are not barriers, they are indicators of significance. The path before you is extraordinary precisely because it challenges comfort, familiarity, and the illusion of safety. It calls for courage, for honesty, for confrontation with realities that may terrify, yet ultimately liberate. The spiritual warfare continues unabated. Every choice you make, every moment of hesitation or engagement, every acknowledgement of truth or avoidance of it, these are the battleground. Forces unseen adjust around you, and their attention is focused. They know your potential. They recognize your role. And the private investigator's revelations serve as both guide and warning, a tangible manifestation of the invisible struggle in which you are immersed. Time presses. The files, the information, the call, all converge in a single, undeniable truth: the moment is now. Do not delay. Open before it vanishes. Engage with the revelation fully, with clarity, with courage. For in doing so, you do not merely observe the spiritual battle, you participate. You influence outcomes, shift currents, awaken dimensions of understanding, and step into alignment with forces that have been waiting for your recognition. The choice is yours, but the urgency cannot be overstated. Ignoring the call is not harmless, it is a missed opportunity, a moment of potential lost. Responding, embracing, confronting, these are acts of awakening. These are the steps toward comprehension of a reality far larger than the ordinary world. And now, as the city slumbers, or pretends to, your awareness stretches toward the files, toward the revelations, toward the spiritual currents that have shaped this moment. You sense, without doubt, that the path forward is not optional. It is imperative. The private investigator has done their work. The universe has sent its summons. And your engagement is the hinge upon which everything may turn. The files sat before you, an unassuming stack of paper, or perhaps a portal to something far more profound. The ink, the handwriting, the meticulous arrangement of every note, they were not merely documents. They were instruments of revelation, vibrating with the weight of hidden truths that had long sought acknowledgement. And now, in this charged moment, they were yours to confront. Each page turned brought a shiver down your spine, not from fear alone, but from recognition. There were names you knew, places you had walked, decisions you had thought inconsequential, every element intertwined with circumstances you could never have foreseen. The private investigator had traced threads with painstaking precision, revealing a tapestry of hidden realities in which you were no minor detail, but a pivotal presence. You felt the air shift, heavy with anticipation, as if the room itself recognized the gravity of the moment. Shadows lengthened, stretched unnaturally, and the faint hum of unseen currents seemed to pulse in rhythm with your heartbeat. Every word in the files resonated in ways the mind struggles to comprehend. Some truths were immediate, shocking in their clarity. Others whispered, subtle, demanding reflection, intuition, and courage. There were warnings embedded within the revelations. Not vague cautions, but precise, urgent markers, people to trust, alliances hidden beneath layers of deception, paths that would lead to insight or destruction. The investigator's diligence ensured nothing was left to chance, yet, the real responsibility now rested with you. The information, however revealing, was inert without your engagement. You were not simply reading, you were activating a process, stepping into a convergence of spiritual and earthly currents that could shift existence itself. It became clear that this was no ordinary investigation. Each discovery reflected not only human motives but echoes of forces beyond comprehension. Events were connected across time and space in patterns that defied logic yet demanded recognition. And at the center of it all, inexorably, you were drawn. There could be no avoidance. You may feel doubt rising, a natural companion to revelation. But doubt is not weakness, it is the measure of significance. The greater the resistance, the more transformative the truth it seeks to unveil. And these files, these carefully documented exposures, carry immense weight. They demand courage, not casual curiosity. In one folder, you discover evidence of hidden alliances. People you considered acquaintances, or perhaps strangers, hold influence in ways unseen, their motives entangled with forces both spiritual and worldly. The private investigator's notes are painstaking: timelines, coded references, cross-referenced encounters. What may have seemed like coincidence now pulses with intention. Every connection points back to you, like a constellation whose pattern is only visible when the pieces are aligned correctly. In another folder, there are warnings of deception so subtle it could slip past the untrained eye. Words meant to mislead, actions designed to manipulate perception, all laid bare. And again, you are at the center, not as a passive target, but as a key participant. How you respond, how you perceive, how you act, these decisions will resonate far beyond the immediate moment. You feel it now, the subtle vibration beneath reality, the hum that grows louder as awareness sharpens. The spiritual battlefield is not abstract. It is tangible. Currents of energy, aligned with intent, swirl invisibly around you. Allies, unseen yet present, exert influence to guide your choices. Adversaries, equally invisible, attempt to distort, obscure, and derail. Your awareness is the fulcrum, the tipping point between clarity and confusion, insight and deception. And in the center of this maelstrom, the call remains, open before it vanishes. The message is no longer abstract. It is a command, a plea, a directive from forces that recognize your pivotal role. Every second of delay carries consequences, subtle yet profound. Every hesitation risks letting the revelations fade before they are fully realized. Yet, within this urgency lies empowerment. Each file, each revelation, carries not only warnings but tools, keys to navigate the hidden realities. Patterns emerge, insights crystallize, connections become unmistakable. You begin to see threads linking events, people, and choices that once seemed isolated. The private investigator's work becomes a guide, illuminating the path through the labyrinth of spiritual and worldly intrigue. And then, a realization strikes: these revelations are not merely for knowledge. They are for action. Awareness alone is insufficient. To engage fully is to participate in the ongoing spiritual war, to wield insight as both shield and instrument. Every fact you acknowledge, every connection you act upon, strengthens your position, aligns currents, and activates dormant potentials within yourself. The files pulse subtly under your gaze, almost alive, demanding engagement, demanding comprehension, demanding courage. They contain more than exposure, they contain invitation, summoning you to recognize the profound influence you hold within both visible and invisible realms. You begin to understand, this is no ordinary moment. The hours of spiritual warfare that preceded this revelation were preparation, not coincidence. The private investigator's diligence was part of a larger design, a convergence orchestrated to ensure that you encounter these truths at the precise moment your awareness can grasp them. And the choice is yours. Ignore the call, and the opportunity dissipates. Engage, and a path opens, one that will challenge, illuminate, and empower in ways previously unimaginable. The spiritual currents, the hidden forces, the intricate patterns of reality, they all respond to your decision. The stakes are immense, yet so too is the potential for understanding, alignment, and transformative insight. And so, you face the files, the revelations, the truth itself. The tension in the air is palpable, a living force pressing against your awareness. The private investigator's work has done more than uncover hidden realities, it has created a portal, a threshold that demands recognition. Step through it, and the unseen world becomes visible, the hidden currents palpable, the spiritual war comprehensible in ways that reshape existence itself. As your fingers hover over the files, a subtle vibration runs through the room, barely perceptible but undeniable. It is not sound, not light, not air, it is something else entirely, a force pressing against the edges of perception, urging awareness, demanding recognition. The private investigator had traced every thread meticulously, yet even they could not fully capture the unseen currents now converging around you. Each page you turn reveals connections that defy conventional logic. People you once trusted, institutions you assumed were neutral, systems you believed impartial, all now appear as players in a hidden game, their motives intertwined with forces beyond comprehension. And you are central, not as an observer, not as a pawn, but as a participant whose awareness can tip the balance, whose choices will echo far beyond the visible realm. A name appears in one folder. The significance is immediate yet unsettling. This person, once familiar, perhaps friendly, holds influence in ways that stretch beyond the ordinary. Their actions, both seen and unseen, have been shaping events that intersect with your life, steering outcomes, manipulating circumstances. The investigator's notes are precise: dates, locations, meetings, communications, all meticulously documented. You feel a chill, not of fear, but of recognition. The threads connect. They always have. Another document reveals a web of hidden motives, alliances forged in secrecy, and betrayals so subtle they almost escaped detection. And yet, here they are, laid bare, undeniable. The investigator's diligence has exposed patterns, patterns that point directly to you. It is impossible to ignore. Your awareness, your decisions, your engagement are essential to navigating what comes next. The spiritual battle rages in parallel. You may not see it with physical eyes, but it presses against you in every subtle way. A shiver along your spine, a sudden tightening in your chest, a fleeting whisper in your mind, all markers of currents unseen, energies in flux, forces testing readiness, measuring resolve. Allies, invisible yet palpable, are reaching out. Adversaries lurk, equally unseen, attempting to obscure, confuse, or derail. Your awareness is the pivot on which these currents turn. One folder contains recordings, surveillance notes, and transcripts that read like a puzzle of human intention and divine orchestration. Every observation points to intervention, to influence, to manipulation across levels you had not previously considered. The private investigator's role was never merely to uncover facts. They were a messenger, a conduit delivering keys to a threshold that only you could unlock. And then, a subtle realization strikes: the files are not just documentation. They are catalysts. They are alive in the sense that every word, every detail, resonates with energy. As you read, as you acknowledge, you activate currents that have been waiting for your recognition. The spiritual war is not abstract, it is interactive. Your comprehension and response are essential to its unfolding. You sense movement beyond the physical world, a shift in energy, a pull, a presence that makes the air thick with significance. The investigator's revelations are mirrored by forces you cannot yet fully name, guidance from realms unseen, currents that align with your choices, challenges that test your courage, opportunities that require clarity and decisiveness. Every hesitation has weight, every engagement has consequence. A startling truth emerges. One of the exposures directly involves someone you care about, someone whose influence in your life has been subtle yet profound. Their decisions, actions, and hidden connections have intersected with yours in ways you never fully grasped. The private investigator's work has brought this to light, not to frighten, but to equip, to empower, to demand awareness. The spiritual warfare is personal, not abstract. It revolves around your choices, your clarity, and your courage. Your chest tightens as understanding deepens. This is no casual revelation. The hours of conflict, the silent battles fought in dimensions beyond sight, the investigator's meticulous work, all converge into a single, undeniable truth: the moment is yours to claim, to confront, to engage fully. Ignoring it is impossible. Evading it is futile. The call is persistent, open before it vanishes. The files, the revelations, the energy, everything hums with expectation. You realize that knowledge alone is insufficient. Action is required. Awareness must be paired with courage. Recognition must be paired with engagement. The private investigator's diligence has laid the groundwork, but the unfolding, the activation of currents, the shaping of outcomes, that depends entirely on you.